You know what that picture is.
What's that picture
So
as we highlight this guy right here?
Terry Crews painted that picture. That's his artwork.
Terry Crews can paint now?
No, but way before he was an artist, and that's how he made money in the off season was doing artwork, and that was his picture, his airbrush.
Oh
Yep.
man, well, I mean, what a way to start this introduction, highlighting Terry Crews of what he can and can't do. But we don't have Terry Crews here. Teddy, take it away. Give him the proper introduction.
So, Ken, I got a little special. Hopefully, you can hear this. I assume you know that more than anyone can. So, today's guest is known for his incredible tackles in the National Football League and is a man hailing from the great state of Texas. He has played for the Phoenix Cardinals. Yes, Triple Play Fantasy, you heard that right. And the Washington Redskins. This gentleman is not only a four-time NFL Pro Bowler, but is also a Washington Commanders Ring of Famer, which is limited to honoring Redskins greats. From the University of California, go Golden Bears, give it up for Mr. Kenneth Ray Harvey.
Yeah.
What's up, Ken?
When you say Kenneth Ray Harvey, I expect to get hit with a broomstick or a belt or something. That's when your parents call you by the full name, given name. That's when you're in trouble.
Oh man, well,
thank you,
Ken, appreciate you joining on. First off, how are you and your family doing? How's everything with the businesses?
Well, I appreciate you asking. Everyone's doing well. We're blessed. You look around the world, there's so much junk and drama and all that stuff. And so you wake up and you get a chance. Every day you get a chance, a new opportunity to do something. I'm blessed. I'm not getting bombed overhead. I got opportunities to work. My legs are still functioning, not as fast, but they're functioning. I'm good to go.
Oh, man. Well, I love to hear that. And Ken, look, we're going to build a little time machine. We're going to take it back to the early years. So you're raised in Austin, Texas, and I did some reading on your upbringing. I think most people assume athletes have had it good their entire life or for a good part of it. And you grew into your body early. And I think that changed the expectations people had for you. And I can't imagine how overwhelming that pressure can be. Look, I'm 5'5". It took me years to grow into this body, and I'm not growing anymore. But you dropped out of school for half a semester at your junior year. So my question, look, we know how your story ends in terms of your football career. But at high school, when you dropped out, did you not have people in your ear saying that you potentially had a future in football with the body that you had at a young age?
Oh, yeah, I definitely did. A lot of people saw the potential, but a lot of times in life, it's about how you see yourself. And that moment of dropping out, I saw myself as a failure. And, I had some people express that as well. And sometimes you can't listen to what everyone says. You have to have a belief about yourself. And so the good thing, you probably didn't know this, so I'm surprising you, but I have a book about my life that's coming out in May.
We're going to touch on that later.
It leads up to, me making it to the NFL. And this, I thank God above, right, that at my lowest point, he gave me a vision of what I could be. And sometimes that's all we need is somebody to say, you can do something. You're worth something. You're on this earth for a reason. You don't know what that reason is, but you have a purpose. And now you just got to go and set about doing whatever that destiny is. And so at that moment, things turned around. But, like most things, you only see the end result, but it doesn't happen overnight. You got to work and sweat and do all that stuff. And I did my little toll, and it all worked out.
Yeah. And, I think all of us go through adversity at some point in life, whether it be professional or personal. And I think that really kind of shapes how you overcome those and what you deal with later in life. And I definitely want to touch on your book later. Don't think that we left that as an important detail. But so as Teddy mentioned, you go and you play your college football at University of Cal. And I'll be honest, I'm very good at snooping around the internet, and I could not find your college stats. Like, they don't have them on there. Yeah. But, I mean, look, they must have been – I mean, I guess this before the internet was what it is now. But, look, they must have been very good as you were selected 12th overall by the Cardinals in the 1988 NFL Draft.
Real quick, My it started off kind of going into Cal. From I went to a junior college first. Going into
Hmm.
Cal, there was an outstanding inside linebacker that I knew all the scouts were going to look at him, and then me coming over, if they looked at him being a inside linebacker, they had to look at me. All the scouts would have to look at
Yeah.
the linebackers, and so good. It was a good fit. Then I go and I play the last couple of games of the season. We went to Japan. We played. It was called the Coca-Cola Bowl. But I was the most valuable defensive player there. Then I went to
Okay.
the Senior Bowl. I was the most valuable defensive player there. Then I went to the East-West Shrine game, and I was the most valuable defensive player there.
So you're
And
just
so that
racking
kind of
up the
boosted
hardware.
up. Yeah. And then that year, everybody was looking for the next LT. And so the first player taken in the draft was a linebacker. And that normally doesn't happen. And so everybody was looking for the next big linebacker. So it was just kind of I was in place to go high because everybody was looking for that pass rusher. Funny thing, when I got to the Cardinals, they didn't want me to necessarily be a pass rusher. They thought I was small for my size, and they thought I was fast. So they were like, maybe you're a good third down cover guy. And I couldn't cover. I couldn't cover anybody. I couldn't catch a cold. I mean, it was I couldn't. And so I was like, every day in practice, I'm like, look, let me pass rush against your best offensive lineman. Let me go against your best. And every day I would go out there with my purpose in mind to beat them, but not only beat them and destroy them, embarrass them, make them feel bad, look bad, so that they would know I was a pass rusher. And fortunately, it worked out. And I talk all the stuff. I got beat a few times. They beat me a few times, but I won a lot of those battles, and so they had to get some respect and know I was a pass rusher, and that it worked out.
Yeah, and I mean, the internet did not mention of your kind of accolades, prior to the NFL. So I'm curious because I think, obviously we'll get into your pro career, but the recruitment process right now is glamorized. Everything's on social media. It's televised. It's a bigger deal than it's ever been. So I'm curious of what the recruitment process was like for you coming from high school to college and then college to the pros.
So from high school to college, remember I dropped out. So my senior year, I didn't play. No one was looking at me. I was just a big kid with a big old fro, big eyes, scary looking dude. But nobody wanted me to play football. Finished up school. I met a guy in the gym who told me about this junior college in Oakland, California, and it was me and
Hmm.
another guy. And he was like, they don't pay for anything, but they're starting to look at players from other states. And so, if you guys want to go, we'll give you a chance. But we'll make sure you got to save up money, get your own apartment, all that stuff. This is a junior college, and this is our first time doing it. Go there, we play, have two fairly good years, and then I get Cal, and a few other schools, Michigan State, a few other schools. They took notice, and they were like, this is all that. So I'm there, and I have a choice of going on these recruitment trips or maybe going to someplace right in my backyard. The things that, like I said, the weighed in my favor was that the Cal had the linebacker, so the scouts were looking at him. My girlfriend was in that area, so she's not my
Okay.
wife, and she's still my wife, so that's good. And
Love to hear
so it
that.
all kind of worked out that Cal was a great location, and because me being a dropout in high school, what better way to show everybody that I'm not dumb than to go to one of the top schools in the country, right? And so that was kind of like my give back at everybody. Then you go to the pros, and you get teams that say, you didn't know if anybody was looking at you or not. You didn't know what they had on paper. I went to the combines, and these guys were all, these are the big names. These are names that I heard about and read about and all this stuff. And I was kind of like, everybody was like, well, who's this joker? I look like a linebacker, but who is this guy? And it wasn't people practice for the 40s and all that stuff. I had to borrow somebody's tennis shoes to run in. It was Ken Norton Jr. I borrowed his shoes to run
Oh,
40
wow.
to do my time. And so I do my 40. It was a pretty good time. I think it was like a 4.6. It's a pretty good time. I had a
Not
really good
bad. Not bad.
vertical jump. I did all that stuff. I bench pressed. I was pretty strong back then. So that kind of boosted me up. Then I go and I think one team, the New York Giants, I had talked to Bill Parcells, and he was like, "Yeah, you're too small to be one of our linebackers. We probably use you as a third down cover guy because you're kind of small. Because I was 6'2", about 225. I was pissed when he said that. I was like, you know what,
Oh,
forget it.
that's a little bit extra motivation.
It was extra motivation. And so, but once the draft happens, you have no choice. You just sit by the phone and wait. And I heard stories of guys having these massive parties and celebration and no one calling. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I was at a friend's house. My mom came up and we just sat there by the phone. I get a call and it's Larry Wilson from the Cardinals. He's like, Ken, how would you like to be a Cardinal? I'm like, heck yeah. And he's like, okay, well, hold on a second. Then you see the draft going by and you don't hear anything about your name. And so you're like, well, maybe it's not going to happen. And then you hear him announce Ken Harvey, the Cardinals take Ken Harvey. Some people clap. Some people are like, well, who is this guy?
Any champagne popping?
No.
Okay.
It was just a happy moment because for
I
me, it
love
was
that.
kind of, it was like, well, one, God, when I was at my lowest in my mind, when I heard God, he said, you have a destiny and you have a purpose. And like most people, when you're at your lowest, you make these promises. And I'm like, God, if you just give me, just give me some place, just make something happen. I'll glorify your name. All this. And so it's kind of like, man, I made it. I made it. And at that moment when they drafted me, my first thought was like, okay, now I got to prove to them that they got a bargain in getting me at the 12th pick. And that was my mindset, my goal. And so, I celebrated with my girlfriend, celebrated with my parents and all that stuff. But my mission was to prove to them that they got a bargain getting me in the 12th pick. So
I love to hear that. And what I think is interesting is that's their first year of relocation. So they're previously the St. Louis Cardinals. So you're the first pick of essentially a new chapter to the franchise. But the Cardinals were 7-8 the year prior. So it's not like there's an emphasis on you to be the savior the way that a franchise quarterback is when they're taking number one. Now, you had mentioned you kind of felt that added pressure as, being the 12th pick to show why they got value. But being the first pick of a new kind of relocation, new chapter, did you feel any pressure from that?
So I'm gonna tell you a quick story. Hopefully, I'm not taking up all your time, but these radio
Hey,
stories.
Ken, this is for you, man. I mean, we want to hear about your life.
These are two quick stories. So one, I had, you get drafted, but you still have some time back in school before you go to training camp and all that stuff. So I had promised. I had been working security for clubs in San Francisco. I'm doing this boxing match, and I'm security for this boxing match. Two boxers that fighting each other. All the crowds are here. It's Irish against a Mexican boxer, an Irish boxer, and the sides were split. They had their fans here, the fans there. They didn't like the outcome. Everybody starts fighting against each other. I run down there because I'm like, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. I run down there in the middle of all of this stuff. My buddy comes along with me. So we're in the middle of people throwing chairs, fighting. Someone shoved me, threw me on the ground. I pop up, or he actually pulled me up. We move away. Somebody just got stabbed right where I was at, and this was after I got drafted. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. And so, we're trying to break up all this stuff. And finally,
this is crazy.
San Francisco Police Riot Squad comes in and they have to break everything up. And it's like, my friend's looking at me like, you big idiot. What are you doing? You just got drafted. It could have been over with. So that happened. Then I think like a week or so before I got to training camp, I was playing basketball, fell on my knee. My knee swole up. It swole up enough where the fluid was, I think, pressing against the nerve.
Jeez.
So from my leg down, from the knee down, I couldn't feel anything. My leg was rolling. My ankles were rolling because it was all numb. But I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want them to know that I was playing basketball. So I'm hopping on one leg and I'm trying to play, but I can't feel anything because it's all numb. And so I go for like a week and I'm kind of so, but I'm pushing through it because, my mind is strong. I'm pushing through it. And then finally after the week, I was like, man, I must have got hit in the knee. Can you drain this? And then they drained the fluid and no one ever knew that it was because of that. So
I mean,
those two moments, my whole career could have been over with. And fortunately it wasn't.
We kept the secret. We kept the secret for 34 years. It's the first time that you're telling anyone, right?
Yeah. So there you go.
Oh man.
It's little things that you don't know, but my desire back then was it was like to be mentally strong. My goal was to, here was a kid who was at the lowest point of his life, and then you're here, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, wow, I am here. I got to show everybody that I deserve to be here, and I had a chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to prove to the world I belong here. So that was kind of my attitude. There were some things that if I could go back and do over again, I would. But my goal was to show everybody that I was a good player.
Yeah, and I mean, you show them right away because your rookie season, you make an instant impact. 6 sacks, a safety, which was the lone scoring play of your career. I did that much research. You one up yourself next season with 7 sacks, 120 tackles. I mean, third year, we're just going on this uptrend, continuing 10 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, fumble recovery. And similar seasons, the final 3 with Cardinals, 24 and a half sacks, 182 tackles, 4 fumble recoveries, and only missing 6 games in your 6-year career. Wow, I need to take a sip of water after that. But I know Teddy wants to kind of touch on your time.
And I want to ask a question on this because I always find it interesting. Some players have a breakout season and go downhill. But as Eric mentioned, in those first 3 years with the Cardinals, your sack total goes up every year. And obviously, from you told us about grinding harder against, the O-line. Was this a result of, a change to your work ethic or that work ethic you already had? Or was it kind of more of a result of getting used to the National Football League?
So some of it was getting used to the National Football League. There was a moment where they were like, this guy can pass rush, but he can't cover, against the tight end. And the way the defense was set up, I was over the tight end all the time. And I was getting destroyed off of the ball every single play. And there's a guy named Anthony Bell. He's another linebacker. And so, he told me it was something simple. He's like, Ken, I'm looking at the way your feet are, and your feet are pointed out this way. Adjust your feet like this, and it'll make a big difference. And that little bit of advice saved my career. I mean, I still credit him today with him saving my career. So that happened. Then as you see the uptake, part of during those uptake years, I tore my ACL. And so I had to recover from the ACL. Then I tore my rotator cuff in my shoulder as well. And so it's a torn rotator cuff and an ACL. No, back then it was career-ending injuries. But once again, it was that, that drive to keep going because it was the work ethic of being a dropout. A lot of times, sound like a motivational speech, but a lot of times the drama that we go through, if we look at it as drama, we look at it as pain, and it could be, and understand that it is, but also understand that you can take that and turn it into something good. God can take that and turn it into something good. So when I used to train at night by myself, saying to myself, I'm going to be the best, got to be the best, have to be the best. Every time that I play, even though I messed up on a lot of plays and didn't necessarily know what I was doing, my mindset was like, keep going, Ken. Don't ever stop. Don't ever give up. You don't want to get back to where you were at. Keep going. And that's the way I tried to play, was just to keep going. One of the greatest compliments that I got, to me at least, was I made it to the Pro Bowl, and there was a guy, I don't remember the guy, and he was like, yeah, I can't remember your name, but you're the guy that never gives up. You're the guy that never stops.
Oh my gosh.
And when he said that to me, I was like, yeah, I am that guy. You may not know my name, but you're going to know my motor doesn't stop. And that was the greatest compliment I probably could have ever gotten, especially in the Pro Bowl.
Oh man, I love hearing. My heart dropped a little bit just because I kind of felt that personally. And Ken, I know we've known each other 20 minutes, but not stopping and grinding is what your career did. Because next up, it's our hometown, DC, where you really shine. Your first season there, you made the front office look smart. 13 and a half sacks, a second-team All-Pro, which was your first of 2 consecutive, and a Pro Bowl appearance, the first of 4 consecutive. So, the front office really likes people like you because you buy them a little bit more time with their job when they're like, oh, yeah, Ken, that was a good sign. I go, okay, front office, we'll give you a little bit more time.
It was funny. Well, that first year I came here, and I will credit that. There they were getting rid of a lot of the old players. They were Super Bowl winning players, but they were older, so they were getting rid of, and everybody's trying to make this new team. But I had the privilege of playing with guys like Monty Coleman, Tim Johnson, some of the guys who have been around, and they really helped me along the way. So it was that year where Jim Lachey in practice, you go up against the best. He's throwing you to the ground, but now he's telling you why he was able to beat you. And so now you're learning in practice from going against the best. And I think that's a lot of times that people discredit second and third team players because, you may think they may be second or third team players, but if your second and third team players are top caliber type guys, they only make you better. And then when you go into a game, you become that much of a better player. And so, these were guys that were beating me down in practice, but also it wasn't just to show face. It was also trying to teach me because they knew in the game, you're going to go up against somebody just like that. And you had to work with it. And then you had the motivation from, like I said, guys like Monty Coleman and Tim Johnson. After I come off the sideline, Ken, you're doing great, but you could do this and that. And they would tell me stuff. And I'm like, okay, I got it. And so I had a pretty good time, good career that first year. And then DC has that market. Back then we had all these fans, just diehard, crazy fans. And I was privileged to be a part of a dynasty, that tradition that was there. People were expecting some great things. So I felt like it would be wrong of me to let them down by performing halfway when I got here.
So Ken, speaking of another dynasty, obviously, you grew up in Austin, Texas. I've got to ask a question. Did you grow up a Dallas Cowboys fan and then going to this new dynasty, obviously the former Washington Redskins? What was your reaction on going there?
So yes, to your question, Cowboys fan. I mean, you had to be, right? Like, so people are diehard here, and I've heard stories and different things like that. But Texas, you diehard Cowboys. We didn't eat some nights because my mom would be so mad because the Cowboys lost. We wouldn't have a meal, right? It's diehard. There's blood. So, I'm playing, and I come here to the Washington team. My parents are like, whatever. We don't know who to cheer for. You're a boy, but we still love the Cowboys. And so the biggest thrill was like to have a good game against the Cowboys. So, my parents could say, well, that was my boy who, did this to our Cowboys and all that stuff. And so that it was cool. It was fun that I played well enough, even though we may have lost sometimes against the Cowboys. I played well enough for my parents to be able to go to work and say, with a little bragging rights, saying, well, my boy, we may have lost, they may have lost, but he kicked, he took care of business. And I just this year got a picture with Too Tall Jones from the Cowboys. So that was like my idol growing up. I wanted to be like Too Tall Jones. So I had, I'm standing next to him. It was at Super Bowl party, and I'm like a little kid. I'm like, man, you were the guy that I wanted to be like, when I was playing. I'm sure you heard it 1,000 times because people say that to me. But I'm like a kid in a candy store. So I always try to take that feeling of the way I feel towards him to the way hopefully I treat people. I mean, there are moments I've probably been a butthole or whatever, but I hopefully treat most people with respect because I've been on the other side and I've had players I've always looked up to treat me well. And I've had some that kind of brush me like I'm nothing. And kind of like, it's a sour taste in your mouth. So.
No, I mean, hey, look, if anybody thinks that you're a butthole, then we're gonna go and correct that. We want.
No, you can talk to my wife.
All right. Well,
wife, man.
That'll be our next follow-up interview. We want 100% positive sentiment with Ken Harvey. But I mean, Ken, you talked about that your parents would have some bragging rights. You're putting up stats, and I mean, rightfully so. Following season in '95, you continue to shine. 7.5 sacks, the second All-Pro, and of course a Pro Bowl. Following season in '96, you, of course, the sack specialist again, striking with 9. Also get an interception. '96, ho-hum. Another 9.5 sack and Pro Bowl appearance, just like it's nothing. Your final season in '98, unfortunately, you weren't as healthy. You were only playing 11 games, which, it happens as you get older playing. And you decided to retire into this season. And I want to reflect on the positive because for your career, you set a Washington record for most sacks in a season by a linebacker, which broke Monty Coleman's record set in 1984. Over the course of that time, you accumulated 89 sacks, 828 total tackles, 2 All-Pros, 4 Pro Bowls. Not too shabby.
Had a good career. I mean, look, if you enjoy something, it's fun, right? And I played. I was around a lot of good players. That the one thing that a lot of players say they miss is the chemistry, your partnership. And I remember guys that would sacrifice not getting any fame so that I could shine and do my thing, and put themselves in a position to take on 2 blockers so that I could be free. That's a teamwork. That's believing and trusting each other. And so after the game is over with, that's probably what you miss the most, because there's a special bond of everybody working together for that same goal, for that same desire to try to make it to the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. My big regret, never made it to the playoffs, so therefore never made it to the Super Bowl. But I had a great career. If I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't have retired. I had a great contract, and I should have retired. But given that said and done, it comes to an end, and you move on. Hopefully, you move on. I had a hard time moving on, but you try to find out what are your gifts, what do you believe in, and for me, I had to revisit that same little kid that had dropped out of school. I had to revisit that kid years later to find out what my worth was.
Now, Ken, speaking of gifts and then after the career and then going from a successful career to another successful career, here's a quote that I thought you may relate to. The end of one chapter is just the beginning of another. Read on, the best part is yet to come. And the reason I thought that quote is related to kind of you is due to the book part, as you're now a successful children's book author. And as you mentioned, Terry Crews painted it, but now he's actually, a co-author with you. So long story short, what got you into being an author? And there it is. There's a Terry Crews book with him. So I'm getting that after this, by the way.
So I'm gonna give you. I probably talk long-winded, but I'm gonna give you a couple of stories on this. I'll give you the reason why I wrote the books, but I've written some thriller suspense novels as well. I get excited about that as well. Just because you can take a blank sheet of paper and you can create a world, and you can also see how that blank sheet of paper, that world can affect someone's life. When you were a little kid and maybe you had a teacher or your parents read to you, and that story came alive in your mind, and it was like the greatest feeling in the world. And it opens up your mind to start doing so much. That's a cool part of it. The reason I wrote this first book, it was these are my 2 boys, and when they were 6 and 4, and so I wrote this book because one of them came home and he was talking about Michael Jackson. How did you get your skin so light and all that stuff? And I'm like, why do you want to know that? And he's like, there's a contest on TV, and if you win, you get to be one of the characters. But there were no brown characters, and it just hit me how through kids' eyes, you can see things that we just kind of brush past as parents. Mm-hmm. But for him, he never saw himself as a character. He never saw himself as anything. So I went and Terry was my teammate at the time, and so we did. I told him the story, and he did the artwork, and so we made up this story. And the Washington Post printed up a bunch of books. We gave them away to the kids in DC, and man, you can see their eyes light up. And to me, that was kind of like, that's the beginning, that's the start. And so from that, I started writing books. Then I started trying to see if I could try my hand at a thriller suspense novel. So I did that. Then I did a thriller suspense novel in the voice of a woman to see if I could do that. And then, now it's just a venture of trying things. And then I wasn't doing this like I was prepared for it, but I wanted also to do a book for my boys when they were 6 and 4, and then I did this one for them when they were 12 and 14. Mm-hmm. And so my goal was to do a book when they were 8 and 6, 12 and 14, and then a book for them when they're adults, so that they can say, look, when they give it to their kids, they can say, Grandpa did this for us, and know that I did these books for them. So anyhow, that's kind of my career in writing. It's amazing to be able to create a world or get a message across or something off of a blank sheet of paper. And not that I'm a good writer. I think I have great ideas and I write them out. I mean, all these are my writings, but there's some bald headed editors that are pulling their hair out trying to edit this. And some of my books that I put out, because a lot of them were self published, the editing is not as good. And I realized, you gotta take note of it and pride in your own work, and you can't let fear conquer it. So a lot of times I would write, and because I was so fearful that I didn't know, maybe this wasn't the right sentence structure, or this should have been in that section, I would go by whatever was thrown out to me. And you gotta put more effort into something that you believe in. And that's a lesson that it took me a lot of time, long time to understand that. Even so much so, I just rewrote the book that I said I wrote in the voice of a woman. I just rewrote it because I wanted to know to myself, whether it sells one or 100 books. I want to know to myself I did the best I could with it, and so I put it out again. It's just online, but I just want to make sure I completed it and did it well. And so, be confident in your work. If someone gives you corrections, that's okay. I mean, you have your vision, and you don't always have to listen to people, but you have to know enough to know the very foundation, right? And so, find people that you believe in you, that trust in you, that don't want anything from it other than to see you be the best that you can be. And that's my little sermon right
Yeah,
there.
and you know what? I think personally, the message is more important than the structure of the organization. Like, can you read something and take away from it, or really have it be an impact? And I mean, Ken, look, let's not sell yourself short. Yes, you're an author, you're an NFL player, you're an actor, you're an artist, you do public speaking, you were a former president of the Washington Alumni Association. That's many things. You probably have the most roles of anybody I've ever met before.
I've
So
done a lot.
you certainly keep yourself busy, my friend.
I've
So
done a lot. I've been fortunate. Like I've got a chance to do a zero gravity flight. You go on the
yeah,
bottom of a plane. The
space
plane.
adventures.
Yep, I've done all that stuff. I've met some super super great people. I've met the president. I'm a co-captain of a congressional football game. We got about 30 Congress members playing flag football against the Capitol Hill Police, and I'm the coach of the Congress members. So I get to slap them and yell at them and
Let's
do what a lot
go.
of the public wish they could do. Um, I mean, I've been
You made a
blessed in all the
difference.
things that I've done, and then I got a wife who still loves me after 30 some years. I got kids who hopefully respect me,
Oh,
and
how can
and
they not?
so I have nothing really to complain about. I mean, there are things that I would change and would want to do more, but I have nothing to complain about. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit now called Touching Heart. It wasn't mine, but I'm the executive director. So we're trying to teach young people about compassion, about leadership. I'm partnering with a addiction treatment center, just because people sometimes we all need second chances, and we need not to be point the finger and always say you're the bad person. Maybe you just need a helping hand to be pointed in the right direction. I work with a wealth management company because I had a lot of money. I lost a lot of money, but sometimes the negative is just an opportunity for you to grow, and then maybe to be teach others. And so I can't look at that with regret. I just got to say, what did I learn from that lesson, and how can I be better with it? So, I'm throwing out a lot of these jobs and things that I do, but I kind of see, for me, back then when I made that promise to God, I'll glorify your name, way back when, just I'll speak, I'll do all that stuff. I think right now I've been through all these moments in my life so that I can speak and speak with authority on some of
You
these
have so
issues.
much experience to share.
There you
That's the
go.
that's the best way. I mean, Ken, look, you probably don't have a boring day in your life. There's probably something new each day, and I gotta say, I'm a little bit jealous of that.
I wish, man. My life is pretty boring for the most part,
Nah.
but you know what? It's I have stories to tell, and those stories are relatable. Hopefully, if I say it the right way and do it enough, it's relatable to people, and that I can be that motivational speaker, that person who speaks on a certain topic, but the people in the audience could say, yeah, oh yeah, that's me. Wow. Okay. Okay. Now what do I need to do? And I can say, well, this is what I've done to get from A to B. These are the steps. And, even that in talking to other people, I mean, you talk about Terry Crews, who I play with, and he's this big movie star. But what a lot of people don't know was that time when he was broke from football until establishing himself as an actor, he was in the library every day reading books, just tons of books on how to make himself better. And so when people think it's overnight, education is huge. And it doesn't have to necessarily be school education, but we have access to so much knowledge. You can go through, instead of you living 40 years of someone's life, you can get their life in 200 pages. And all of a sudden now you've experienced all the drama, all the trials, all the ups and downs, but it's it's only in a month's worth of reading, and you can experience that. And that to me is huge. So now, I'm reading a lot more books. I'm reading about the brain and about how habits are formed and how people can change habits, because our life is a series of habits of our brain optimizing itself to take the shortest route, to get the least resistance, to do the easiest thing, which can be good, and it's a survival technique, but it can also be bad in that we're becoming so addicted to the easy route that we're forgetting some of the basic things. So
motivational words from Ken Harvey, a man that played football, but that does not define him, as he has so many things that he's ventured on. Ken, we like to get our guests out of here with a little triple play rapid fire, some this or that questions. You game?
Sure. I guess so.
Awesome.
I guess so. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Awesome.
nervous, but I guess so. Yeah.
I know. Don't worry. You don't have to be nervous at all, but we do have to plug our quick sponsor, ODDSJAM. So for the sports betting market,
these Twins game tomorrow. The Twins, for example, are plus 180 on BetMGM. They're plus 215 on Fox Bet. Could you ever imagine placing a bet plus 180 odds on BetMGM if you knew you were getting plus 215 on Fox Bet? It's absurd. Now, if you think these discrepancies in the odds, like the difference even between plus 200 and plus 215 is small, then there is a massive, massive flaw.
There you go. That's a quick little thing from our sponsor, ODDSJAMs. Nice. For anyone in the sports betting market, make sure you go to oddsjam.com. Use the referral code TriplePlay for a trial. Make sure you maximize your winnings on here. So, Ken, like I said, we got a little triple play rapid fire, some this or that questions. You can take your time thinking if you want, but I promise they are not all football related, and I can guarantee you have not been asked some of these before.
Okay, this is my thinking, pose, and praying, so let's go.
All right. Would you rather get 15 tackles in a game or 2 sacks, but those are your only tackles?
2 sacks.
Okay, I like it. Quality over quantity.
Without a doubt. I mean, I don't know if you want the reasons why, but
if you want.
I mean, look, you get for an offensive lineman, they can block you 60 plays, but you get 1 sack off of them. They look like the worst piece of junk ever. You look like a superstar. Give me a sack. Give me 2 sacks. Look, I'm walking around with an S on my chest. So, yeah.
I love it.
Big contracts.
All right. Would you rather no football in any capacity for a year, watching, playing, even your intramural league that you do, or no gym for 6 months?
Oh, I have to do the gym. So no football. I get football.
Hey, they got to find a new coach, right?
Yeah, but give me the gym. I mean, not that I work out all the time anymore, but man, that's my release. You get to work out.
I certainly understand. I mean, I know Teddy's answer. Teddy can't go 6 days without the gym. So,
it becomes a part of you. It's
sure.
a zen moment. You got to veg out.
All right. Intense pain for 10 minutes or dull pain for 1 day?
Well, I've experienced dull pain for 1 year, for a lot of years. So, I mean, I could deal with the dull pain. Intense pain, I've had intense pain, and 10 minutes can seem like 10 years. So I'd rather get the dull for a day.
Yeah, smart man. What is your favorite thing to grill? I know you're a little bit of a grill master.
You know what? I mean, ribs. So me and my wife, we kind of combo it. She makes the sauce.
Okay.
And then I'll grill. And we've had people that, my ribs are the best, but afterwards they're all over the chin and all that stuff.
That's how you know.
Yeah, we got it going on. Dude,
That isn't marriage in a nutshell. Making the sauce, you're on the grill together,
You
happy
combo.
people.
Yep,
Oh, man.
it works, man. She can throw down, and I don't know if I can grill all. It's not that hard, but I like to think we do it together, and it's a perfect match. Perfect.
I love it. Would you rather give a ride to a stranger or hitch a ride?
I mean, yeah, I'll give a ride to a stranger. They have to sit in the front seat with me, and all bags in the back, and they have to be searched before they jump in. But they get a ride. But you know what? So here's a quick story. I'm a second contract in Arizona. I'm driving out. I'm driving to training camp. Run out of gas. Me and my agent run out of gas. I didn't have gas, so we're going up to Flagstaff. I'm hitching like this with the thumb. So finally, I'm kind of like, he says, dude, man, I don't know if anybody's going to stop and pick Big O you up. Maybe I should be the one. and a lady stops and gives both of us a ride. Freaky. I mean, nothing happened. I mean, it's all good. But I wouldn't have stopped and picked me up. So, yeah.
I mean, hey, you already hitched the ride, so now you're just on the other end of it. I love it.
Yeah, it was good. I made it to training camp, and we're all good to go. It's a good story.
For the rest of your life, would you rather have hot drinks or cold food?
Hot drinks. Well, okay, so with hot drinks with no food at all?
No, so like you can only have one of the two. Like all of your food has to be cold or all of your drinks have to be hot.
Oh. All my drinks can be hot. I'm old. I like hot stuff now.
Okay. I like it. Especially a little bit of coffee wakes you up in the morning. I'm with it.
With no doubt, man. Hot.
Okay. What's your favorite cereal?
Right now it's the Raisin Bran Crunch.
That's the popular answer. Have they changed the recipe and I just don't know?
So it's enough crunch and enough sweetness. And it's not, but you feel like you're eating healthy. You feel like you got enough fiber and you got the raisins and all that
true.
stuff. So, it's if your guests are as old as me, that's the popular thing because you feel like you're eating healthy, but you still got a little sweetness to it.
No, I love it. Hey, look, enough people have said it where I'm going to give it another try.
Give it a try. It got to be Raisin Bran Crunch.
That's what everybody has said.
Williams said that too. Lions quarterback Tim Boyle told us that too. I think he was a Raisin Bran guy too. I mean, it's got to be NFL players. They have a cereal, Yep.
Very funny. Yep.
All right, we got a few left here.
Okay.
Would you rather wear subtly stained clothes or obviously wrinkled clothes?
Oh, subtly stained, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, subtly stained clothes. I mean, would I rather? I do it now, so it's not a big deal.
But doesn't it bother you if you know there's a stain and you're wearing it? I guess at this point in your life, you don't care.
I mean,
right?
Based off of your question, it's subtle. So
that's true.
You're
right.
Only you'll know that it's kind of there. You may know it's there. And yeah, I do that now. So it's not that big a deal. But wrinkles, you can see wrinkles.
Okay.
I can't deal with wrinkles.
Ken, I got to be honest. I feel a little guilty asking this one because you're one of the nicest guys I've ever spoken to. But this is a fighting question.
Okay.
Would you rather fight Mike Tyson once or you have to talk like him the rest of your life?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yeah, I'll get in the ring. I mean, if give me a time, you
got some training. We're not just throwing you cold turkey.
Yeah, if I got enough confidence in myself till I get hit that if I could train, it'd be a fight for at least a minute.
I need this confidence. We just talked with Lofa Tatupu this morning. He said, no, I'll talk like him. I don't want to get in the and I love it. Like you're saying, I'll last a minute. Most people say I'll last one punch.
I mean, look, I'm sure I've seen some of his punches and he lays brothers out. But I think that in my prime, I mean, when we were talking, you got to have a certain cockiness about yourself. Yes. And I figured if I could train, I was enough of an athlete that, I could at least take a couple of punches. And if I couldn't, I wouldn't remember anything anyhow. So there you go.
And Ken, I'm going to add on to that. you were a scary guy back in the day, man. You were muscles everywhere. So I think you might have a chance, to be perfectly honest.
I think so. You know, and I took a little karate back in the day as well. So yeah.
Hey, we're gonna make the ESPN 42-1 part 2. You're gonna be the next Buster Douglas.
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, look. Offer me $100 million to go into a fight. I'm gonna jump in. We'll give you a good show.
Hey, the GoFundMe is gonna start after we get off.
Yeah.
The last one here. Your birthday is May 6th. Mine is the 19th.
Nice.
Would you consider having a shared birthday party?
Ooh, no. So, I would, but so what I'm trying to do with the nonprofit that I work with, my birthday's May 6th. I turned 57. My number was 57 when I played with Washington. So I'm trying to do like a fundraiser for the nonprofit with the birthday party. So that is nothing against you. I just want to.
Oh, I
want to try to raise as much as I can, and I'm kind of on this kick of use the gift that you have, and that just for me to have my birthday number to be the same number that I play with. It's only happened once.
Hell yeah!
I gotta knock it out. But happy birthday to you, Taurus Bull.
Hey, there we go. We go. Ken, really appreciate you joining us and chopping it up. Before we get you out of here, we want to give you the opportunity to plug whatever you'd like. Your book coming out in May. I know that you just talked about the organizer or the fundraiser you had for your birthday. Where people can find you on the socials, any of that good stuff.
Okay, because I'm old and I don't remember all my socials. But the nonprofit is called Touching Heart. There's no S on the end of it. TouchingHeart.com. So you can find out about the nonprofit there. See, my birthday is May 6th. We're working on setting it all up, so that's coming. I'm on Facebook. Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, but I don't really go there. So if I don't get back to you, don't take it personally. Let's see. I got my new book coming out in May. It's about my life, that kind of the journey, some of the stories and the mindset leading up to playing in the NFL. I'm kind of proud of it. It's my first nonfiction book that I've written. And so, when you see it or hear about it coming out, just read it, because it's a message. It's not me bragging on that I made it to the pros. It's a message of hope, that anything's possible, and that even at your worst situation, there could be a brighter tomorrow. And you hear about all these suicides and all these things that are going on, and I get it. I was at my lowest point at one time, but I also seen tomorrow, and tomorrow is a better day. So
always a plan.
Great message. And I'm going to plug the socials for you. Twitter, he's at Transition57. It's verified. Hasn't tweeted since 2020, but if we can get him back on the Twitter machine. And Instagram, he's at Ken Harvey 57, just like the number he has there.
Thank you for looking out. Yeah, because I wouldn't remember that.
Of course. Everybody that watches Triple Play, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel for some other great interviews with guys like Ken. Make sure you give him a follow on the socials and check out some of the great work that he's doing on there.